Let me give her a few minutes and see what she's working with. I think we're good to go. At least I remember to cut the mic on. Because usually I just plug the mic in. We do got a little phone stand for you now. So you ain't leaning up against anything. And so that's probably why I was like, let me just plug the mic in, cut the mic on, and just leave it. Because I know I'll be trying to log in first over here, but then don't turn the mic on. But we did get a new phone stand. And we're just going to keep elevating until we get to a stable point here. Do we need to recap chapter 4? Because my head is really is sensitive today. Let me find my straw. Where is it? Just trying to see if I put it. I have one. I just don't know what I did with it. I don't feel like rummaging for it now. Ice cream fever dreams. Do we really need to? Do we really need to recap chapter 4? Can we just? Chapter 5 is very long, so we just need to go ahead and get started. He got an ice cream tattoo on his face. He was supposed to be going to the studio. This wasn't his regular tattoo person. He had just been admitted to a mental health hospital. They told him he could leave. He's having all these mental health episodes. He's having all these mental health episodes, and which is resulting from the substance abuse, just causing these manic episodes. And then on top of that, trying to figure out why he's emotionless and trying to discover pain in different ways. Obviously, nothing is helping, nothing is working. And so he's just sort of, he called it being rebellious by getting tattoos on his face and inking himself up and trying to maybe hope somebody ask him what's wrong. Chapter 5, Tipping Point. This is a quote by Drew Findling. I can say that when Gucci is like that, it's like he's looking right through you. I don't know what was the reason for that quote, Drew, because that doesn't necessarily give me any context when he's like that. That what does that mean? I don't like what. But anyway, I sat with my head between my knees and rested it in the palms of my hands. The pain was intense. It felt like hot needles were digging into my scalp, with my follicles being threaded with coarse hair, one by one. When the pain reached its peak, the pressure took over. My head was like a balloon ready to pop. Tick, 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 tick. I looked up and turned to Keisha. My hair hurts. That's the only way I could describe what I was feeling. My hair hurt, right down to the scalp. Eventually, it became a familiar enemy of mine. So much so that I had to take some action before I really snapped. So if my hair hurt, then my hair had to go. Shave it all off, I said to my barber as I sat in the chair. The first time he looked a little puzzled. It wasn't like me to go and shave my whole head skin bald, especially when I had a nice head of hair. After a while, though, it became a routine. He knew, like clockwork, that if I came in there in a certain state, it was time to take all of my hair off. Over and over again. It was a pattern. There were a lot of times when I never made it to the barber's chair. I'd run into my bathroom at home, like my hair was on fire, and take a razor to my head until I touched the scalp. After that, I just keep going, almost until I bled. Didn't matter the direction either. It was for comfort, not style. And if my head was already shaved when the feeling came on, then I'd shave it down even more until nothing was left, not even stubble. Hell, if I could have shaved down to the skull, I would have. Whatever it took to release the pressure. Can anybody tell me what that feel like? I don't know. Listen, because the only thing I could possibly think of, the only thing I could possibly think of is when I used to get micro braids. Ooh, the PTSD of micro braids. There are these little tiny plaits, and they probably get plaited like maybe halfway, and then the rest of the hair is like super curly. It's braiding weave, but it's like an 8, maybe 10 hour process because they're so small. And I could just remember one time when I had got them done. The pain and the irritation that he's describing is exactly what I felt. My hair, it was like, I mean, on fire. Like, just, oh, so itchy because I had just got it done. And you know, your scalp is so sensitive, so dry, but it's so tight. Oh, that's the only thing I could think of. But that was with, braiding hair. I don't know what's going on now. Because remember, now we're at a tipping point. He's not giving any context as to what could possibly, be causing such a head irritation, a scalp irritation. It sounds so intense, but let's see. Obviously, to the point to whereas you're thinking that it's your hair, and is it really your hair? It could be, but then when you shave all of your hair off, and that irritating feeling still is there, I'm just curious to know what could it be. But of course, remember, we're not getting any context here, at least not yet, unfortunately. So we'll see. It's not like shaving my head really helped, but it was just enough to make me believe that it worked. Since I didn't have anything moving around on my painful head, I didn't even care how it looked after I did it. So sometimes the result would be a crazy mess of uneven shave patterns and zigzags like a lawnmower that went rogue on a grassy field. Keisha wouldn't let me leave the house when I'd take that razor into my own hands. People can't see you looking like this, she would tell me. We were only dating at the time, but she knew the consequences of me walking outside like that and wanted to protect me. I didn't even understand why while it was happening. Then, when I would finally get to my barber, he'd have to shave my head completely bald just to even out the mess I'd made. In many ways, I was like a child who cut his own hair, and then the barber had to deal with the aftermath. When you struggle with a mood disorder, that sensation of your hair hurting is very common. To get a little scientific with it, you have more of the stress hormone cortisol. So your scalp takes the brunt of the pressure and gets real sensitive. That's why it feels like your hair hurts. Nobody told me that though. See what I mean? You see how nobody told me that. If you're saying that during that period, during that time, you didn't understand what was going on, why it was going on, and what was causing it to go on. But as, of course, you moved through life, you was able to discover what was going on. So why look back with this, ain't nobody tell me what was going on? We don't need that, sir. We just relax. Ain't nobody tell me. You ain't tell nobody you was popping pills and drinking lean and all that stuff, and you know what I mean, abusing substances either. So relax, chill. It's that moment, in the book that just kind of irritates me. He did that like all through chapter 4, and I'm like, sir, relax. We just found out all of these diagnoses and stuff like that, like, and then technically, you were technically told. I believe didn't the doctor at the site at the hospital told him that the drugs fuel the episodes. So here is another reaction, a a a, a cause and effect, I guess. It just nobody told me that though. I just felt like I was about to spontaneously combust. The feeling made me so angry, which then made me violent. Here we go. Here we go. That's the only emotion that we ever get is anger. Nothing else. I can tell you this much. In so many of my mug shots, you can see my head is shaved down. Facts. That tells you everything you need to know. It don't, sir. It don't. Sometimes when I would get arrested, news stories pointed out my shaved head in my mugshot. Even fan forums would talk about it like, y'all, see Gucci's head shaved bald again? Analyzing my life through my hair. Nobody knew what to make of it. But thinking back, it's still surprising to me how much people caught on to the change in my physical appearance. It's still surprising to me how people caught on. Well, I mean, technically, that was really a lot of the times when we were able to kind of catch up with it through the mug shots. Every time it was a different mug shot, it was a different picture, heavy set, swole in the face, slim in the neck, tattoo here, you know what I mean? Eyes droopy here. It's on the cover of the book. They're on the cover. They're on there. I'm pretty sure this ain't all the mug shots, but they're on the cover. How the eyes is sitting low. You know what I mean? The eyes is on, but the head is shaved. You know, The look, blowed. That's the face of, oh man, I'm blowed. Of course. Um, Probably a little tipsy. Maybe coming down off of that Molly. Oh, we know, child, that lean is, uh-oh. We see the lean doing what the lean is supposed to do. So I'm like, you're trying to, sir. But if you're not, I guess technically, when you're abusing substances, it is a very hard um, place to get to when it comes to that accountability. Oh, this is what is fueling these psychotic episodes with the lean and the molly and the weed. You know what I mean? Like, oh, all of these concoctions of substances. Sure, of course, they're going to ultimately result in some type of a reaction, some type of a chemical reaction. Obviously, you're not going to necessarily know what chemical reaction it is going to cause on you, sure. But at the same time, if we're having a chemical reaction, or if we're ingesting different chemicals just to even get a chemical reaction, because I think it was chapter 3 where he was, oh, I ain't know, what was going to happen to me if I just took it straight from the spoon. We used to, us in Atlanta, we would mix it with a little drink, got a little fizz to it, add a little candy to it, Jolly Rancher to it, a little flavor to it and stuff like that. And then it'll kind of slow you down a little bit, right? But then you would take the Molly, you know what I mean, and mix it, and then get you a little blunt over here. Sir. And then on top of all of these chemical imbalances, you ain't even sleeping. Oh my goodness, sir. This is a complete brownie of a disaster. Complete. Like, but ain't nobody tell me. Your body is talking to you, sir. Who you think the voices belong to? What is going on? I'm confused. But we're gonna push through, and please let us finish this book. Because I forget where I was at. Okay, Keisha Winley, aftermath, everything, yep, right. Then one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I couldn't find me anywhere. I couldn't even see. Never mind. I couldn't even find myself in my own eyes. They looked vacant, unmoved. My hair was gone, my belly was bulging. I didn't understand what I was seeing. But I just kind of decided that this was who I was, and this is what I looked like. Exactly. Keep that same energy when it comes to all these substance abuses that you're abusing, sir. Keep that exact same energy. Because I'm like, we see the mug shot and we be like, oh, okay, that's how he look. Okay. Eating good. Let me see. Okay. It was more acceptance than confidence, right? When your brain is broken down, there ain't much left but taking yourself as you are. I mean, what's the alternative? Of course, social media commented that I had a big swollen belly from all that lean, and nobody really saw that as a cry for help. See what I mean? See what I mean? Here we go again. What cry for help? You went to the mental hospital. Did you tell them that you needed help with the lean, or you just walking around there on mute, not talking to nobody? I don't know. People barely do get big from that lean. I don't know, but let's just fit. Nobody, Rather, it was just written off as a symptom of the lifestyle I was living. Big head, bald head. I mean, big belly, bald head, trap life. My fans took it as a sign, though, to change their whole style up, too. You'd see fans shaving down their heads to look like me. Some even wanted a big belly. They wanted to be big bellied and bald when I was looking heavy. Hold on, let me see if that sentence makes sense. They wanted to be big bellied and bald when I was looking heavy with my lean look. I shouldn't have been anybody's role model during that time, and not just because of the lean. That wasn't just the look of an addict, it was the look of a man in complete distress. Okay, okay. And the result of that distress was me acting out to extreme levels. So we're abusing substances, lean, Molly, weed, We're abusing all of these substances, right? Which are causing a chemical reaction resulting in different mood disorder, bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenia. So you have the substance abuse, and then you have these manic episodes. Okay. And then after that, now what you said, you in complete distress. And you acting out, getting the tattoos on your face. Okay. And then your appearance is starting to reflect your distress. Okay. The big belly, the bald head. And what else he said? The big belly. And what is trap life? Big belly, bald head, trap life. Okay. So you still trapping. Um. Okay. Some that landed me right back in jail. When I wanted to stay in the pain and stay mad, I wouldn't cut my hair. I didn't want to shave it out of me, but those times were few and far between. Uh, okay. Shave the pain out of him. Okay. My identity would swing like a pendulum, and everything else went with it, even my name. Okay. One of my longtime day-to-day managers had told me once that she knew something was up when I'd start using different names for myself. At face value, you might see that as something regular. A rapper just using a different name for himself every now and then. Correct, Gucci Mane, Goo what? Let me see. LaFleur, yeah. Mr. Day, okay. And with me to a certain degree, they were just my different aliases. There was Gucci Mane, Wop, LaFleur, even Mr. Davis. Just nicknames, right? Not exactly. Who is that again with the multiple personality disorder? DID. What is it called? I know it's multiple personality disorder, but it was something else. During my periods of extreme cycling from one behavior to the next, I had to leave Gucci Mane behind. So these names would take over. Looking back, maybe Gucci Mane was my inner conscience and wanted nothing to do with whatever was going on when I was spiraling. Gucci was the man with the heart. Gucci was also the man who was always embarrassed and ashamed the next day. He's touching on a very important topic. subcategory, I would say, when it comes to fame, the rappers. He's touching on a very important subcategory of fame, because remember, everyone has their alias, their rap persona. And so we never truly get to like understand who Radrick Davis is. It's always Gucci Mane, Gucci Mane, Gucci Mane. And so always remember to take that at face value as well, and know when to leave the persona at home, and know when to give the persona a break. But Gucci was the man with the heart. Gucci was also the man who was always embarrassed and ashamed the next day. I needed to learn more about these other parts of me when the episodes happened, though. Who was that guy? Whenever Guwap was talking to me, he used a period after every word. My day-to-day manager told me. So basically, I'd text just like this. Then I'd sign off from a conversation like Guwap, almost letting you know who it was that you were talking to. Multiple personality disorder. Which version of me, so to speak. Wap was very mean, she said. Very, very mean. Wap and Guwap typed similarly, with the period after every word. Though it seems like Guwap was the beginning of Wap's entry. Like Guwap was the build up to a full on episode starring Wap. One time, my day-to-day saw me in the club looking at myself in the mirror and having a full-blown conversation, as though it was another whole human looking back at me and talking. Wap was having a heart-to-heart with Gucci Mane, apparently. When she saw that, she didn't know what to do. Nobody did, really. How do you even begin to figure out what's going on when you've got a man typing with a period after every word and talking to himself in a nightclub mirror? She's lucky I didn't put my fist through it like I did in Alabama. Now, Gucci Mane was always the focused man in artist mode. The real me. That ain't the real you, sir. Radrick is the real you. Let it go. While LaFleur was just lavish. Mr. Davis demanded some effing respect, especially in meetings. Exactly. Looking back, I feel like LaFleur was the realest nickname out of them all. Just reflecting on the times where I wanted to be stunned. Meanwhile, Guwap and Wap were me approaching my breaking point. I'd use both of those names for stretches of time. No fewer than 2 days. No more than a week, which is exactly the time frame for me to spiral and come back. That's a long time. A week. And then look how he said it. Just enough time for me to spiral and come back. A week? Sir, I'll give you 30 minutes. A week? Child, you got 30. And go on in the closet somewhere, because no. Talking about a week. No fewer than 2 days. When I listen to my track WAP, now I can feel the change in my personality through my lyrics. I sound mean. F that, look at that, Riz. I'm a project with a rich, To have those sides of me show during texting was one thing, but it's another now to realize I was in those modes during the making of my music. I remember one time where WAP took over and he stayed for a while. Here we go. Not stayed for a while, Lord. I've struggled to come up with a word to describe this very detailed string of events. The only word that I could come up with was arrogant. I believe I've used that word several times before, way before you brought it up. Arrogant in the way that I carried myself across my city, acting like somebody I sure as hell didn't know, but that the people around me didn't know either. It's not every day you feel like a stranger in your own body. Interesting. Okay. Of course, there's more to it than that, but thinking I could do anything and not get caught became a nonstop cycle for me over the course of some days when WAP was in charge. Okay, here we go. Goodness gracious. What is that DID? Different, let me look it up real quick. I had put my laptop, I didn't bring my, I gotta look up DID. I know what, I feel like I know what it is. I feel like I should know what it is, especially if I know the acronym. So now I feel very unprofessional, knowing the acronym and actually not knowing what DID actually stand for. Hold on, give me a second. Let me exit out all this stuff that he got open on here. Am I private? Okay. Okay. Let me see what DID is. Hold on. Cap. Cut the brightness up so I can see. D. I'm gonna put I. D. DID. I don't know why I couldn't get it. Dissociative identity disorder. Bingo. Merging separate entities into a single identity. A psychological response to traumas suffered in a specific time window in early childhood. A dissociative disorder and a complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I ain't never heard of that. I've never heard of complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. PTSS. CPTSS. I've never heard of that before. Amnesia, flashbacks, disassociation, passive influence, internal voices. DID most commonly stands for dissociative identity disorder, a mental health condition where a person has two or more distinct identities or personality states that control their behavior at different times, leading to memory gaps. It is often a response to severe, prolonged trauma in early childhood. Symptoms include amnesia, memory gaps, emotional and behavioral shifts, and feelings of being disconnected from oneself or reality. And then they talk about treatment, typically involves long-term psychotherapy, potentially with support for medications for co-occurring conditions like anxiety and depression. Don't it sound like DID? Sound like it to me. I don't know. You know, I know. I just know the acronyms. I don't know what be going on. Look, nah, I don't be knowing what be going on. But it sound like it. If I got the acronym, somebody else was talking about Fulio murder. Focus, honey. Focus, please, please. Somebody else was talking about it though. Wait. That's Cuff Boys. Shocking text. And then he dropped it yesterday an hour. Ooh. And he dropped this one 8 minutes ago. Oh my goodness. YouTube, that's fully, I forgot that the trial just started. Let me get back. So unprofessional, man. To have those sides of me showing, stayed for a while. Yeah. I've struggled to come up with a word to describe this very detailed, arrogant, right? Of course, there's more to it than that. But thinking I could do anything and not get caught became a nonstop cycle for me for over the course of some days when Watt was in charge. There were obvious things going on with me that contributed to this spiral. Obvious things. He said obvious. What obvious thing? Oh, okay. The lean and the Molly. Okay. The usual. I was high, I wasn't sleeping, and I was stressed about the possibilities of being taken to jail. All the while doing even more stuff that could bring me right to jail anyway. But instead of laying low and collecting my thoughts in order to figure out what I should be doing next, I just kept getting more and more aggressive. It's the only emotion, anger and aggression. That feeling of pressure kept building up inside of me. My head was shaved, so my hair was feeling it too. I couldn't breathe. It was this constant suffocating feeling that I was holding my breath for too long and then panicking. And the only way to exhale was to get violent. My body needed a release in some way, and aggression seemed to be the only pin that could pop the balloon. When other people go through something similar to this, they may retreat. They may feel sad. They may even be depressed or scared to the point where they can't leave their homes. I responded differently. That just goes to show you that mental illness is a custom fit. You can have the exact same diagnosis as someone else, but how you react to the world around you can be completely the opposite of how they would react. That's why it's so tricky to medically treat the mind or predict the outcome. You really don't know where the brain can go. And if you assume how the next person will act based upon the last person's brain, well, I'm a case study to prove that's the wrong way to go about things. Where other people may want to harm themselves, I never really wanted to do that. I wanted to hurt everyone else around me. Let me read it again and make sure I didn't jump to conclusions about how redundant that sounds. Hold on, give me a second. Where other people may want to hurt. Okay, he wanted to hurt. Gotcha. Okay, I was just making sure that I didn't miss that. He said other people may want to harm themselves. He wanted to harm everyone around him. Gotcha. Okay, not himself. Gotcha. Okay, my bad. I was like, what? Okay. In turn, all I kept thinking was that people were out there trying to hurt me. Paranoia. It was as if I covered myself with an invisible shield where I didn't want anybody to go near me, or else I might fire off, either with my words or with my pew pew. To be honest, I had no idea what I was doing, but I kept telling myself that I had to stay on the defense to make sure that nobody could get me. The concern and the urgency to fight those about, okay, hold on. The concern and urgency to fight those about, to fight me felt so real. Okay, fight those about to fight me felt so real. The concern and the urgency to fight those about to fight me felt so real. And in return, I was convinced that I was going to jail anyway because somebody was about to get hurt. I just didn't know who yet, so I had to pick someone or some people before I really exploded. Did. September 12, 2013, Gucci Mane fights a man at the mall. I walked in the Lenox Square Mall that afternoon, forgetting how I even got there. I just hopped out the car, looked up, and saw the mall sign. The days for me were just running into each other, one by one, until before I knew it, a week had gone by. How was it Thursday? Saturday was just yesterday. That couldn't be correct. But it was. I was alive, but I wasn't living. I hadn't changed my clothes in a few days. Or was it a week? Who knows? I don't remember eating or even drinking. I hadn't slept at all, so everything felt like one giant bundle of hours of me roaming the streets, all squashed together. My cars were blocked from me driving them because I was on a rampage. And I didn't even know that because, for the most part, I was just wandering around and catching rides here and there. I was doing a lot of petty-ish to people that week, where it was just a constant up and down. I eventually wanted to change my clothes. So in my mind, the only way to do that was to go buy some new ones at the mall. But not without a stop first. It was only about 15 minutes before the mall incident when I was up at my lawyer's office, waving a pew-pew at him. Once again, I didn't know who I could trust, and for some reason, my attorney, Drew, was my latest enemy. When you're in the thick of a spiral like that one, there are parts of you that can see these things happening, but you can't do anything about it. So my conscience was buried in there somewhere, and that part of me could feel that what I was doing was wrong. But there was a little voice inside of me reassuring the worst parts of my behavior. Ooh. Again, WAP was fighting Gucci. It's like I was being told that even though I knew I was headed for trouble, this was the only way to beat it. And that conflict in your brain gets you mad too. Why am I at war with myself? Because you're not in control. I am. Why am I so tired, but also so wired? You're tired, I'm not. Why is everything moving so fast, but I still feel like I'm in slow motion? Man, just keep up and quit bitching. Why does my head feel so full of pressure? I don't know, but who can we punish? Drew's been fucking with you. It's time for him to pay. My rationale was that I didn't like how things were working out for me, legally, even though my actions were what was leading to all of these charges. I felt like my lawyer wasn't really working for me, like he didn't have my back on anything. In my mind, I wasn't getting my way, and so I needed revenge. I caught a ride to his office with two female friends, and they stood there witnessing this mess in real time. As soon as we pulled up and I walked into Drew's office, I was ready for war. There he is. Look how smug the nigga look. He's trying to put you in prison for good. I don't like how you acting with me, Drew. My voice was loud and bounced through the glass windows of his office right into the rest of the firm. It was like an alarm for the white ladies sitting at their desk. They just were itching to call the cops. I don't even want you as my effing lawyer anymore. Oh, you look psychotic right now. Look at him looking at you like a crazy man. Everyone thinks you're crazy. Look at them looking at you. Don't you feel ashamed? Make them pay. Lights out. Lights on. There I was, holding my pew pew, waving it around Drew's office before pointing it right at him. Drew didn't move. He also didn't look scared. That intimidated me a little. But I was too foggy to let it shake me. My back was to the rest of the staff, but I heard them loud enough on the phone. "Hello, we need the police here immediately," I recall someone saying. I didn't run. F them. I predicted the cops would come. Anyway, I had already decided that I was going to jail. Once the police got to the law office, I was still standing there. I had a record, a set of charges still pending, and I was terrorizing my attorney with a pew pew. It had all of the makings of a perfect storm and an obvious arrest. It didn't happen though. My lawyer, who at this point didn't need to have my back for any reason, stayed calm. When the police arrived, Drew diffused the situation. That's how gangster Drew can be, where he can be threatened with a pew pew and still have on a poker face, and then still make me feel protected. I don't think anybody really bought what my lawyer was saying, but they couldn't just keep me there after speaking with Drew. So the cops let me go and I left without my pew pew. I had a moment of clarity as I walked out of the office in shock that I was a free man. I just dodged an arrest. It was like an adrenaline rush to my system, like spinning the barrel in Russian roulette, pulling the trigger and staying alive. My pew pew had to stay after I won that game, but at least I had my freedom after doing something really bad. It felt good. It felt like fun. It was that little boost that my body didn't need, because that will have you thinking if you got away with that, then you can get away with anything else. Take me to the mall, I told the girls. Shout out to Drew. Lights out and lights on. Hold on, let me see, honey, because listen, when I tell you, she got some pages on this episode. This, look, it's chapter 5. I know, child, I checked it out yesterday and I was like, oh my goodness, It's too many. It really ain't, but it's a lot, Lord. See what I mean? Let me see what I'm gonna stop at. Ooh. Let me see. I'm gonna make some headway. How much time have I been going? Okay, I'm gonna go. Can't get up on an hour. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I looked up and saw the big sign, Lennox Square. "Let me hold your pew pew," I told one of the girls. "Hell nah, Gucci. You don't need to be holding no gun right now." She obviously knew something was wrong and didn't want anything to escalate if I was carrying a pew pew on me. After all, she just seen me threaten my lawyer with one. "I have my pew pew with me just in case," she said. That was enough for me and my paranoia for now. Once we got inside the mall, I walked over to the Louis Vuitton store. "Pull all the clothes off the mannequins. They're mine now." I pointed my finger around the store. I didn't care who was helping me. Everyone was helping me now. I wanted to buy everything in sight. I was ready to change into a full Louis outfit, since again, I had spent days in the same clothing. They rang up my bill. It was over $8,000. I handed them my credit card. Declined. Now that adrenaline rush that I was feeling from leaving the law office untouched and shopping for a bunch of Louis-ish I didn't need was replaced with extreme embarrassment. That's a dangerous combination. It's those forced highs and lows that can break a person's brain, like mine. Really happy, then really embarrassed. For me, that transferred to really angry. I called my day-to-day manager. What the? Is my credit card declined? I yelled through the phone. My voice was so loud she probably could have heard me where she was at miles away. She didn't make my credit card decline, but again, I had to take my anger out on someone. I walked out to the front of the store still yelling as some guy was walking by with his girl. He walked up to me and said, "What's up, Gucci?" That don't like you. Look at how he's locking eyes with you. But I didn't even know him. You don't have to. He don't like you. Get your fist up. This same man later went public and all over the media, telling the world that I knew who he was from some past situation. He made it a little moment for himself. But what he didn't know was that I had no idea who was right in front of me because I was in a manic state. It could have been anybody that was standing right there, and I would have asked anyone to start throwing hands. It wasn't about him. It was about me. Let me see. What's that next page? Yeah, because I said I was going to stop here because we got about 4 or 5 pages. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 full pages. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Where did I stop? Okay, 113. I'll change that in the description. Oh my goodness. We knew that we weren't going to continue the entirety of chapter 5. I believe I had stated that last night. We just wanted to get through as much as we possibly could because we know, as we looked through it earlier, and then I said that I was going to stop commingling content. What time is it? Okay, it's 11. So I'm going to, Twitch, you can stay. You good. But because I'm using the Gucci Mane background, I'm going to go ahead and exit out. I'm going to, who am I screenshotting? I'm going to screenshot, we need to, who lied? Who lied? Give me a second. Let me put my iPad so I can trying to figure out how to. Oh, I got it upside down. How to work this doggone case that operates as a stand. Cut my auto rotate on real quick. Okay, there you go. Okay. See, in the meantime,